Check. Guys, check the audio. Clean and good, huh? Clean and good, guys. All good. Okay. Okay. Yeah, everyone please come back, guys. Yeah, we are learning distributed application development. Yes. Okay, we have seen web service is great because it's having two reasons. It is extension of web application development. Number two, interoperability. What do you mean by interoperability? Interoperability means what? Producer and consumer application can be there in same language, can be there in what? Two different languages. Possibility is there or not there, guy? Okay, that's great, guys. Okay, super. Super. Online, I think online also very less strength is there. Okay. Can I ask of you one question for online students? Online students, after a few days, yeah, mostly for next Monday onwards, can I merge your batch with morning 9 o'clock batch, guys? Can I take this session at morning 9 o'clock? Online students, please respond. Anyhow, weekend topics anyhow will be there. 9 o'clock. Any foreign country students? Any foreign country student, please respond. No, it's like only mostly one topic. 12:30 a.m. Only one student is having issue. Krishna, you are from which country? All topics will be covered, guys. All topics will be covered. Mhm. Topics wise, not the issue. I need this slot for other work. So I'm asking to come and collect in 9 o'clock. Krishna, you are from which country? Florida. Oh, Florida, US. Okay, that is the issue, na? Florida issue. Okay. For as of now, 5 p.m. only. I will talk. I will decide later. Krishna, I think for a few days, can't you manage? Krishna, for a few days, I think 20-25 days, can't you manage? Not even 20-25 days. 20 days, can't you manage? Recording will be there. Yeah, I'll try to arrange recordings for you. I'll try to arrange recordings for you. Okay. Yeah, fine. So let it be, guys. Okay. No, we'll take a decision on this later. We'll take a call on this later, guys. Uh, right now, same status quo, and we will discuss on this later. Okay, na? Okay, where is this? 9515 na? 515 Spring Boot rest, guys. 515 Spring Boot rest. Yeah, here is my what, my dear? Hmm. Yeah, here is my what? Session 1, session 2. Sort by date. View as a list. View as list. Okay. Let me talk about different types of web services. Let me save this document, guys. Yeah. 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 How many types of web services are there? Two types. SOAP-based web services, RESTful web services. What's the biggest limitation of SOAP-based web services, guys? The data exchange between consumer and producer application is always XML. But XML is outdated nowadays. But we are looking for JSON. Is JSON possible in SOAP-based web services? No. Online student, you please also respond. Okay. When I say SOAP-based web services, the data exchange between producer and consumer will happen as request body and response body. That body will be what? XML content, normal XML content, or SOAP schema based XML content. SOAP schema based XML content is complex one or what? Complex one or nice one, guys? It's a very complex one. Are you getting my point there or not there? It's a complex one or nice one, guys? It's a definitely complex one. No doubt in that, guys. Okay. It's a definitely complex one. No doubt in that. Okay. Hmm. Super, guys. Now we have to discuss about RESTful web service are not there. Yeah. Limitations of SOAP-based web services. In Java environment, JAX WS is the API technology that is given for developing what, guys? SOAP-based web services. And frameworks implementing SOAP-based web services are Apache Axis, Apache CFX. Okay. Get is idempotent, safe to repeat the request. Post is not idempotent, not safe to repeat the request. We already discussed this discussion. Okay. Idempotent means if you repeat the same request for multiple time, the same result should come always. Safe to repeat the request. Non-idempotent means if you repeat the same request for multiple time, then different types, different results will come. Are you getting my point there or not there? Different times, different results will come. Are you getting my point there or not there, guys? Come on. Okay. Give me 1 minute, guys. Yeah. Non-idempotent means if you repeat the same request for multiple time, then different time, different results will come. Not safe to repeat the request. Get head options, trace, put, delete mode requests are what? Idempotent. Post patch mode requests are not idempotent. Put looks like idempotent in most of the scenarios because if you try to update the item that is already been updated, then no updation takes place. What is there, guys? then no updation takes place. For adding new web component or replacing existing component totally, we use which mode request, guys? Put mode request. For replacing existing component totally or partially, we try to take the support of what? Patch mode. Array, see, in web application, we use get and post only, but in RESTful web services, we use 5 request modes. What are those? Get for select operation, post for insert operation. Okay. Uh, Put for update, total update, patch for partial update, and delete for regular delete. Delete for regular delete operations. Okay. Yeah, try to understand limitations of SOAP-based web services, guys. These are based on SOA, service-oriented architecture, where separate registry is required to publish or find web services. Super. The service registries in SOA are very heavy to maintain. UDDI registries, guys. SOAP based. The SOAP messages in HTTP request and HTTP response are what? Complex to build. What, guys? They are very complex to build, guys. And heavy to send over the network. Are you getting my point there, guys? Super. Understanding about web service by reading what? WSDL document is not an easy process. Is not an easy process. Alright, WSDL is not easy process, guys. Come on. Right. SOAP messages uses complex schema. So building SOAP message is very costly. Does not give flexibility to send data in different global format. Should always use heavy SOAP messages as what? XML messages. Allow only XML as global data format to exchange the data between the application. XML is becoming outdated day to day as what? Global data format. The communication between consumer and provider is unidirectional. That means one way communication is possible. Other way communication is not possible. Consumer can invoke the service of producer, but producer cannot invoke the service of what? Consumer. They are fixed roles. Consumer means forever consumer. Producer means forever what? Producer. Are you getting my point there? To overcome all these problems, take the support of what? RESTful web services. What services, guys? Take the support of RESTful web services. REST is not a protocol. REST is the mechanism or architecture representing what? State of the web component in HTTP request and response. So it is called RESTful web service. Array inputs and outputs can be represented as the state of the request body and response body. Okay. Here, no protocol is involved to represent the data. JSON content or plain XML content, no schema, nothing. So lightweight XML, okay, anyhow JSON from the beginning lightweight. Inputs in the form of JSON are what? XML. XML no heavy schema, JSON also no heavy one. So raw JSON, raw XML can be taken as request body. Request body. And results also raw XML, raw JSON can be taken as what? Response body. Is it not interesting, my dear? Come on, everyone. Okay, that's great. Okay, tell me next one. REST means representational state transfer. Allows to send data in both global formats, XML, comma what? JSON. Directly as HTTP request body, also as what? A response body. No protocol involved while constructing what? This data. No schema, nothing is involved, guys, right? See, first advantage is what? No protocol involved. Raw data we can keep in body, raw data you can give in request body, response body. Okay. And it allows both formats, guys. It allows to send the data of both formats. Yeah, next one. XML, extensible markup language. To convert XML data tag to Java object, unmarshalling, reverse marshalling, we use JAXB API, right? Java architecture for XML binding. What binding, guys? Java architecture for what? XML binding. Next, what is there? JSON. JavaScript object notation. Nothing but what? Object in JavaScript. Object in JavaScript. The process of converting Java object to JSON content is called serialization, and reverse is called what? And reverse is called what? Deserialization. Are you getting my point there or not there, guys? Okay. Reverse is called as what? Deserialization. Are you getting my point there or not there, guys? Come on. Okay. Yeah, JSON. Okay. The process of converting Java object to JSON content, key value pairs, is called serialization, and reverse is called deserialization. Our terminologies are different. Object to XML, marshalling. XML to object, unmarshal. Object to JSON, serialization. Okay. JSON to object, deserial. Or it is no way related to IO streams, file IO in serialization and deserialization. Okay. Java representation. String name is equal to Raja, int age is equal to 30. Where let name is equal to Raja, where let age is equal to 30. Customer cust is equal to new customer of CNO CNAME bill amount, right? Here I am creating customer object or not there, guys. Where let cust is equal to CNO 1001, CNAME Raja, bill amount 90.77. Okay, tell me, guys, JSON documents object in JavaScript are not there, guys. Array, same object can be represented like this. Okay, flower bracket open, closing. Property names as the keys, property values as the values. Okay. Flower bracket open, closing in JSON represents what? Document. Square bracket open, closing represents what? Array in JSON. Array document it will represent, guys. Super. Okay, now tell me. To convert JSON content into object and reverse operation, and for reverse operation, we use JSON APIs. Jackson, JSON, B, GJSON. All these are the various APIs that are there in the market now, my dear. Okay, this is object. This is JSON document. This is serialization using what? Jackson, JSON, B, GJSON API application. And reverse also deserialization. Same APIs will be used or not there, guys. Super. In IO stream, the process of converting Java object data into what? Bits and bytes is called serialization. And reverse is called what? Reverse is called what? Deserialization. Convinced with me, my dear? For this serialization, we need serializable Java object. Object whose class implements serializable interface, right? For serialization of JSON environment, we don't need any serializable object, guys. Okay, JSON serialization, nothing but converting Java object to JSON content. Okay, any normal Java object is sufficient. This is very important point. For IO stream serialization, you must have serializable object. Okay, the class of the object must implement serializable interface. The class of the object must implement what interface, guys? Serializable interface. But tell me, for JSON serialization, what is there? For JSON serialization, no serializable object is required. Normal object is sufficient. Regular object is sufficient. Are you getting my point there or not there, guys? Super. For IO stream serialization, we need serializable object. For JSON serialization, We can take any normal Java object or not there. We can definitely take any normal Java object or not there, guys. Super. Oh, okay. JSON is lightweight compared to XML to represent the data and also to describe the data. XML, you observe, guys, customer, CNO, CNAME, bill amount, 101 Raja, 90.77. And compared to data, decoration is more or not there? Come on, guys. I think from the beginning I am telling this. Look at the JSON, flower bracket open closing, CNO 1001, CNAME Raja, bill amount 90.77. Okay, here keys and values are equally managed or not there? Data and decoration equally balanced or not there, guys? Data and decoration equally balanced or not, my dear? Okay, see, look at the XML, guys. Here, compared to data, structure is more like closing tag for every opening tag is bit extra, right? Here, data and structure both are in good combination or not there? Okay. Gives structured data having relationship among the data members in bit heavy environment. Use structured data having relationship among the data members in lightweight environment. Are you getting my point there, guys? Super. But good part, RESTful web service support both. Okay, RESTful web service support both XML and JSON. By default, JSON. For XML, we need to do some additional operation. By default, JSON. For XML, we need to do what? Some additional activities. Getting my point there, guys? Okay. RESTful web service is not based on service-oriented architecture. No service is required, guys. It is based on what? Consumer producer architecture with front controller service. That means no service registry is required. What, guys? No service. And service is based on SOA architecture. Every service will be registered in what? Service registry, UDD registry are not there, guys. RESTful web service is based on what architecture? Consumer producer. That means consumer directly communicates with the producer, no middleman in the picture, guys. Okay, check it out. Okay, before that, you observe carefully. RESTful web service is all about two operations. Number one, identifying every service method operation of provider application with its URL, and consumer uses those URLs to consume the service of provider application. No service registry is required. Every business method in producer is identified with URL, guys. Come on. They are called endpoints. Every business method in producer is called endpoint. By getting those endpoint details, consumer directly communicates with what? Producer. See? Every business method, REST operation, endpoint of RESTful web service or REST API is identified with four details: URL, request path, request mode, GETA, POSTA, and any parameters are there, those parameters. If you have these four details about any endpoint, consumer can start the communication, direct communication, right? No SOAP protocol is involved because consumer and provider sends and receive the data as XML or JSON without applying any protocol. Inputs either XML or JSON directly in the body, raw format. Output either XML or JSON in the response body, but raw format, no protocol, no heavy schemas are involved, guys. Okay, no heavy schemas are involved. Check it out. Look at this diagram part, guys. Service consumer, service producer. Direct communication, na boss. HTTP request having XML or JSON data. Output is what? HTTP response is XML or JSON data are not there, guys. Every RESTful service is a web component and it is identified with its what? Request URL. It is identified with its what? Request URL. Are you getting my point there or not there, guys? It is identified with its what? Request URL. Okay. The provider application in RESTful web service is one MVC controller and advanced controller class having what? Business method mapped with a request path. So consumer application invokes the business methods of producer application by sending HTTP request based on what? A request URL and a request path of the business method. Come on. These business method can be called as REST operations or what? Endpoints. REST operations are endpoints. Are you getting my point there or not there? Okay. The provider application in RESTful web service is what? One MVC controller or advanced controller having business methods mapped with what? Request path. So the consumer application invokes the business methods of producer application by sending HTTP request based on what? Request URL, request path of the business method. And these business methods are also called as endpoints are not there. Array, listen, same as website. If you want to give request to one handler method of controller class, path you are saying, base URL you are collecting, mode you are collecting. Here also, consumer wants to communicate with any business method or producer application. Path is required, URL is required, mode is required. If any parameters are required, inputs are required, those things are required or not required. Look at this example, guys. Search operation controller. It is having global path, right? Uh, Endpoint 1, endpoint 2. Come on, guys. Okay, endpoint 1, endpoint 2. But you don't use a regular controller, guys. Try to use what? REST controller. Okay. REST controller is having one extra annotation. Controller plus @ response body. What's the advantage of it? Array, listen. Here client is for RESTful web service, client is browser or any other application. Any other application. If it is a browser, view component, presentation, decoration, all these required. But other application means it is ready to receive the raw result now, boss. I want to send a producer generated output, either XML or JSON, directly to a consumer application without applying what? View resolver and view component, right? Here no presentation logic at all. So at that time, on the top of every endpoint method, on the top of every handler method, if I write @ response body, so without involving any view resolver and view component, directly response goes to consumer application or not there. Fine. That's why instead of applying response body on every endpoint, we are keeping on the top of the class. Why? @ rest controller we kept, right? @ rest controller is equal to controller plus response body. What is there? Controller plus response body. Are you getting my point there or not there, guys? Come on, everyone. I want reply, guys. Yeah. Once again. Producer application is what? REST controller. Business methods are what? Endpoint. Every endpoint is identified with its what? Path, mode, parameters, and base URL anyhow will be there or not there, guys. Okay. So REST controller and normal controller, what is the difference? @ response body will be applied automatically. What's the use of it? Array, for RESTful API producer application, who is the consumer? Other application. They expected formatted results or raw results. Raw result. They don't have any problem to take format result. Array, end user is not, na. That is also application. That application may have presentation logic. They present beautifully, right? They expect raw results only, na boss. See, browser talks to Flipkart. Flipkart talk to PayPal. PayPal can give transaction details to Flipkart as a raw results only, na? Is there any need of formatted results? No. But while presenting those details to browser, definitely formatted results are required or not required? Definitely formatted results are required or not required, guys? Everyone understanding my statement or not there, guys? Okay, guys. Okay. Every RESTful service is a web component identified with its what? Request URL. Okay, now listen. The provider application is RESTful web service is one of the MVC controller or advanced controller having business method mapped with request path. The consumer invokes the business methods of the producer application by sending HTTP requests based on request URL and request path of business method. These methods can be called as REST operations or what? Endpoints. Are you getting my point there, guys? Developer need not to convert generated results into what? XML or JSON because Spring Boot REST framework take care of what? Take care of that work automatically. Spring Boot REST take care of that work what? Automatically. Super, guys. In RESTful web service, we prefer what? JSON data a lot compared to what? XML data, right? The service producer can be developed in any language, Java, .NET, Python. Service consumer client can be developed in any language, Java, .NET kind of thing, right? Okay. Lot of consumer, Android application, iOS application. Now look at this diagram, guys. Consumer producer. HTTP request with XML or JSON data. Look at HTTP request, request line, request header, blank line. The, the body part is what? XML or JSON content or not there? The body part is what? XML or JSON content or not, my dear? Okay. Now, HTTP response with what, guys? JSON data. HTTP response with what, guys? JSON data. Okay. Request line, headers, blank line, XML or JSON data. Please observe while putting this XML or JSON, no protocol involved. That's why lightweight XML content, lightweight JSON content is involved or not there. Lightweight XML and lightweight JSON content is involved or not there, guys. Okay. Developer need not to convert generated results into XML or JSON because Spring Boot REST framework take care of that part automatically. Entire APIs, everything is internally taken care. In RESTful web service, provider application is controller, which is identified with its base URL, basic URL. Business method inside the controller class are identified with what? Request path, linked with service class method. Okay. The consumer application uses provider application URL, business method request path in order to invoke the business methods are not there. In order to invoke the business methods are not there. These are called REST operations or endpoints. These are called REST operations or endpoints. Are you getting my point there or not there? If every REST controller class is called RESTful web service or REST API or REST provider application. The methods in REST controller class that are mapped with request path are called what? REST operation. Endpoints are what? Business method. Both consumer and producer application uses XML API, JSON APIs to perform what? Marshalling, unmarshalling activities, serialization, deserialization activity. Come on. And a consumer is also an application now, boss. It will get its inputs as objects, but while sending it should be in what? XML or JSON format. So while receiving results in the form of XML or JSON, but in the application we need in the form of objects are not there. So both side XML APIs and JSON APIs will be there or not there. REST controller is equal to controller plus response body. Yeah, this will be applied on all the business methods of REST controller so that all the business method, nothing but endpoint, becomes ready to send output to consumer application without involving view resolver and view components are not there. Without involving view resolver and view components are not there, guys. Super, guys. Tell me. HTTP request with what? JSON body. Sample, boss. Sample. Uh, okay. Request line, request headers, blank line. What is that? Blank line. Next. Body. Body is the JSON content now, boss. No protocol, nothing. Raw JSON content, raw XML content. Convinced with me, guys? Along with the request, inputs will go in the form of what? JSON content. Okay. Now other side you look at. HTTP response with JSON body. Response line, right? Response headers, blank line. Tell me, whatever output is there, that is coming as what? Response body or not there? No schema, nothing, no heaviness. Directly document. If XML also only directly document. Because of that, compared to SOAP-based web services, request body and response body are definitely lightweight or not there. Request body and response body are definitely lightweight or not there, guys. Okay, guys. Are you getting my point there or not there, guys? Super, boss. Okay. Super, guys. Now listen. REST controller is a normal Java class in provider application, right? Consumer can be desktop application, mobile application, web application. It can be anything. Forget about consumer part. Provider application is a REST controller, which is a Java class. Do you think Java class can take the request directly? No. In MVC also we got the same problem. MVC also controller class, handler class is a Java class. Can it take the request directly? No. That's why we are keeping one dispatcher servlet as front controller, which is a servlet, can take the request, can delegate the request to controller class. Same thing here also now, boss. In REST API provider application that is developed in Java, controller class, nothing but REST API having endpoint is a normal Java class. It cannot take request. That's why we bring dispatcher servlet in the front or not there. That's why we bring dispatcher servlet into foreground or not there. Are you getting my point there, guys? Come on, everyone. One is client side, other one is what? Server side. Yeah, consumer, leave it. This is a REST controller, but is it taking request directly? No. In the middle, front controller servlet, dispatcher servlet is involved or not there. It is acting as a middleman or not there, guys. Okay, look at the flow now. Look at the flow now. Are you understanding my statement, guys? Okay. Client application generates the request having inputs either in the form of XML or JSON. Who traps and takes the request, guys? Dispatcher servlet. Okay. That will delegate the request to whom, guys? That will delegate the request to whom, guys? I want reply, my dear. That will delegate the request to whom, guys? REST controller, nothing but REST API. Okay, their business method directly process the request or takes the support of service DAO classes to process the request. Generates the response now, my dear. Who traps and takes the response? Dispatchers are late. Gives to consumer application are not there. Gives to consumer application are not there, guys. So final conclusion is what? Every REST controller class is REST API that is linked with the service DAO classes. In that one, each method is called endpoint. Okay, na? And consumer try to invoke each endpoint by using URL, request path, mode, and parameters. Okay. But REST controller is a Java class. It cannot take the request given by consumer. So before REST controller, we keep dispatcher servlet in the picture or not there. That's why I say Spring Boot REST is more similar to what Spring Boot MVC with minor changes. What is that minor change? No view resolver and view components are involved. No view resolver and view components are involved. That's it. Everyone getting my point there or not there? In Spring Boot application, this front controller is called as what? Dispatcher servlet. What servlet? RESTful web service provider application is equal to API. RESTful web service business methods is equal to API endpoints. What points, guys? API endpoints. Officially, there is no module called REST in Spring Boot framework. We have only web module which can be used in multiple ways. We have only MVC module, guys. Part 1 of MVC module to develop the web application. Part 2 of MVC module to develop what? RESTful web services. Part 2 is there to develop what, guys? RESTful services. Are you getting my point there or not there, guys? Come on, my dear. Understanding my statement or not there? Spring REST is given on the top of Spring MVC. Spring REST is equal to Spring MVC plus plus. Spring Boot REST is equal to what? Spring Boot MVC plus plus. Right. In Java, JAX RS is technology or API to develop what? RESTful web service. Whereas Spring REST, REST Easy, RESTlet, Jersey and etc. are what? Frameworks to support what? RESTful web service implementation are not there. To support what? RESTful web service implementation are not there, guys. Super. Summary on web services, guys. Overall summary I am giving. And the final conclusion is what? SOAP-based web service is good but not great because it supports only XML for data exchange. Number 2 reason. That XML data also with a heavy schema is as part of request body and response body. That's why outdated. That to SOA model. Okay. Producer should be registered with a registry and consumer should consume. If consumer wants to become producer, consumer also should be registered. That means they're fixed producer, fixed consumers. But here not like that. Direct communication. Consumer can talk with the producer, producer can talk with the consumer because communication is direct, right? A SOAP-based web service is like you registered with what? You registered with Just Dial. Okay, you generated inquiry in Just Dial. When you call number, okay, when you call number, Just Dial people will not get your vendor will not get your number, right? Look at that Swiggy delivery boy. Swiggy delivery boy. They give one number to come call, but that fellow will not get your number. It will go to some middle and their rerouting will happen or not there. Delivery boy says, I don't know your number, right? Why? If delivery boy gets your number, you and delivery boy become direct. And saying that you say order not received, you ask for funding. Yes or no? By giving some amount to delivery boy or not there. And Indians are known for this cheating, boss, right? Wherever money can saved or looted, they will loot like anything, right? That's why in Flipkart delivery also, we get the number to call. Okay. But our number will not go to a delivery boy. he gets a rerouting will happen. We talk, but our number will not be displayed. Are you getting my point there or not there yet? Yeah. Okay. It's called Jugada. That is called cheating, Rama idea. It's not called Jugad. Mhm. That is soap style. But restful style is what? Direct communication. Okay. You are looking for some service, that company number you got, you are directly communicate. That's it. Simple, straightforward, right? And moreover, no protocol while sending XML or JSON data. Lightweight data are not, guys. Moreover, okay, moreover, RESTful service supports both XML and JSON as the global format. All advantages are there or not there, guys. Summary on web services. Two types, guys. SOAP based, RESTful. What's the architecture? SOA, SOA. Service oriented architecture. Consumer producer with what? Front controller. Consumer producer with what? Front controller. Clear, my dear? Super. Next one. Consumer producer with what, guys? Front controller. Consumer producer simply with what? Front controller. Are you getting my point? Yeah. Next one. What is the API we should use? JAX Debless. What is the API we should use? JAX RS. These are the programming APIs we have to use. Okay. Technologies, guys. What are the frameworks? Apache Access, Apache CFX. What is the uh, what is the API? Spring REST, REST Easy, RESTless, Jersey. All these are the frameworks that we need to use are not there. What is the protocol we should use, guys? SOAP over HTTP. HTTP with JSON or XML data are not there. Super. What is the architecture we use, guys? Given based on SOA. Given based on client server or what? Consumer producer architecture, right? Given based on what? SOA. Next one. XML as global data format. XML or JSON as what? Global format. Now here, what is the story? UDDA registry is required. No registry is required. Convinced with me, guys? Comparison is given between both, na boss. Okay. Developing service provider in web services is also called what? API development. API development is web service, nothing but service provider or producer application development. Array, one producer application development is nothing but one API development. If I call more clearly, each REST controller class development is what? One API development. Got it now, my dear? One REST controller, one REST API. Array, someone asked, do you know how to develop APIs? Don't confuse. APIs are used in two angles. One is language API, technology API, JDBC API, and other one is what? Web service API. Okay, 99% you remember API means web service API only. Okay. Gathering and providing info that are required to develop service consumer for invoking services of what? Specific service provider is nothing but what? Providing endpoint details. Providing what details, guys? Endpoint details. Providing all the details of APIs to consumer application is nothing but giving API endpoints to consumer application. The details like URLs, request path, request mode, parameters, and what, etc. Super, guys. Now listen. Weather report API. Get temperature, one endpoint. Mapped with W report / temp. Mode of the request is what? Get. Parameter is city. Or it is going to give the current temperature of this given city, current temperature, guys. Next. Get expected temperature, string city and into number of days, right? Mapped with W report called expected temperature, get. And what is there? City, comma, / which city and after how many days you want the temperature. Which city after how many days you want the temperature, right? Okay, see guys, Every REST controller is identified with base URL, request path, mode of the request, parameters. Yes, my dear. And the business method in REST controller or REST API are called endpoints are not there. Super, guys. Every API endpoint is identified with its request URL, request mode, and what parameter. Okay, here what is there, guys? Here what is there? API means, what is there? API means API development means web service provider application developed either in what? SOAP or RESTful web service, right? API consumer means web service consumer application development either in what? SOAP or in RESTful web service. Are you getting my point there, guys? A provider application development is called API development. API consuming one, developing consumer application, either as desktop application or what? Mobile application or some other application. Are you getting my point there or not there, guys? Super, guys. Okay. The language or technology or framework API that comes in the form of jar file, having packages with classes, interface, enums, and annotation, acting as base to develop software applications is called what? Library or API. This API nowhere related to what? Web service API. API is used in two angles. One is what? Okay, library APIs. Other one is web service API. Web service API means what? Provider application development. Library API is nothing but basic API to develop language or technology or framework based application development. Okay, libraries are nothing but JDBC API, Servlet API, JSP API. They are based to develop the technology based application. Web service API means what? Provider application, nothing but distributed applications, right? Array in web services, provider application is distributed application whose services can be consumed locally or remotely from different types of client application. Clear, my dear? Come on, everyone. JDBC API, Servlet API, etc. are called technology APIs. Provider application in web services are called what? Web service APIs. Both APIs are nowhere related to what? Each other. JDBC APIs, Servlet API, programming APIs, guys. SOAP, RESTful web service provider application, nothing but distributed applications are called what? Web service API. Getting my point there or not there, guys? Okay. In software domain, certain terminology change its meaning context to context. The JSON serialization is different from what? IO stream serialization. JSON serialization is all about converting what? JSON doc into Java class object, whereas IO stream serialization is all about converting Java object into bits and bytes. Okay. JSON deserialization is different from IO streams deserialization, right, guys? JSON deserialization is all about converting Java object data into JSON document, whereas IOStream deserialization is all about creating what? Object from bits and bytes of the application, right? Array, object to file, bits and bytes writing to file, serialization. From file bits and bytes creating object, deserialize, this is IOStream. But in JSON, serialization is about object to JSON content. JSON content to object deserializing. The web service API is nothing but developing what? Provider application as distributed application. Provider application as what? Distributed application. Are you understanding my statement, guys? Come on, everyone. Distributed application. Having services to consume, whereas language technology API is nothing but library acting as what? Base for the software application development. base for the software applications development. Everyone getting my point there or not there? Okay, that's great. Okay, now let us see RESTful application flow of execution. You don't believe, guys, it is more or less similar to what? Our MVC flow only. Our MVC flow. Only the thing is no view resolver and no view resolver and what? View components are involved. Check it out. Consumer application. These many possibilities are there, guys. Desktop, web application, Android application, iOS, IoT, Python, .NET, PHP, React.js, Angular, Postman, Swagger. These are tools, guys. Tools for testing. Browser, very bad. Consumer. Spring MVC, Spring Boot MVC. Who knows? Website can be client to what? Distribute application. JSF, Struts application. You can take another RESTful application, another SOAP application. So any consumer can be anything, right? Okay. Now let's see. Number 0. We deploy the provider application. Come on. Same story, na? Because of load on startup enabled on dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet is pre-instantiated. In that process, init method of dispatcher servlet executes. That creates the IOC container. That container perform pre-instantiation of singleton scope beans. What handler mapping, controller classes pre-instantiated. All of them are kept in internal cache of the IOC container. Number 1. Consumer is generating HTTP request having XML or JSON content. Who traps and takes the request? Dispatcher servlet. Hand over the request to whom? Handler mapping. It will search for handler method, nothing but endpoint. Here endpoint. In MVC classes, handler method. Here endpoint. It will search for endpoint. Whose request path is what? Whose request path is what? I want reply, my dear. Matching with incoming request path, guys. Come on. Okay, let us assume it found one method. It found one. That method signature is gathered. Controller class bean ID is gathered. Pass it to dispatcher servlet. That is 5. Okay, dispatcher servlet submits the controller class bean ID to IOC container. Gets controller class object. On that object, it calls what method? Endpoint method. On that object, it calls endpoint method. What do you say, guys? On that object, it calls what? Endpoint method. Are you understanding my statement, guys? Okay. Number 6 method is called. Number 7. Okay. Number 6 method is called. Number 7 method is called. Are you understanding my statement, guys? Okay. Yeah, no, listen. This method return type, recommended return type, response entity object. What's the specialty of that, you know? It contains response, output, JSON or XML, or output, and response headers, status codes. Response entity, very simple, boss. Here, no view resolver, view component. No need of returning logical view name, right? It has to give output directly to browser, na, boss. It has to send output directly to browser or not there. Okay. It has to send output directly to browser or not there. Say something, my dear. I want reply, guys. Okay. That's great. So after processing request directly or by processing request by talking to service and DAO classes, come on. Whatever output generated will be kept in what? response entity object. What object, guys? What object, guys? Response entity object. In that response entity object, come on. What will be there, guys? In that response entity object, what will be there? Results will be there, plus response status code and headers will be there. Results will be there, response status code and what? Headers will be there. What do you say, my dear? Come on, everyone. Okay. Yeah, that will be gone to what? Dispatcher servlet are not there. That will be gone to dispatcher servlet are not there, guys. I want reply, my dear. Come on, everyone. Okay. Results will be there. Response status plus headers. Response status plus what? Headers will be there. Okay, that is number 9. What is number 10? Results are received or not there? Okay, received. And received results goes to client application or not there? Observe very carefully. Observe very carefully. No view resolver and view component. Did you notice that, guys? Yes? Okay, why, sir? How does it knows? You should not look for view resolver and view component. On the top of the class, what is there? REST controller. Indirectly on every method, response body is applied or not? Once response body is there on every method, what happens, we are clearly telling to that method, whatever results you generate should go to consumer directly. No need of view resolver and view component. That is the beauty of @ response body that is applied on every method automatically. That's the reason it is not looking for any view resolver and view component, because it is @ REST controller, which is internally having response body. Otherwise, same application, na? Earlier it has looked for view resolver and view component. Here it is not looking for. Where is the difference? On earlier handler methods, no response body. And in today's endpoints method, indirectly response body is there. Interesting or not there? Once again, see the flow, guys. 0, deployment, dispatch servlet instantiation, IOC container creation, pre-instantiation of singleton scope bin, injections, keeping them in IOC container. Number 1. Somehow consumer generates the request. HTTP request inputs in the form of XML or JSON. Dispatcher servlet traps and takes the request. Handovers request to handler mapping. Okay, handler mapping looks for right endpoint method whose request path is matching with what? Incoming request URL. Okay, that method signature is gathered. Pass it to dispatcher servlet. Dispatcher servlet submits the controller class bean ID, gets the controller class object, and calls a handler method on it. Calls what? Handler method on it. Are you getting my point there, guys? Calls a handler method on it. Are you understanding my statement, guys? Come on, everyone. Okay, that is number 6. We are calling the method, guys. Tell me next one. Number 7. What is number 7? There directly process the request, or by talking to service DAO process the request. Whatever output is generated, that is kept in response entity object. What is the specialty? When you keep output in response entity object, not only output, we can also keep what? Status code, response headers, and etc. What do you say, guys? Status code, response headers, and etc. Array, I can give proper output to browser, consumer, na? Because now output going directly to consumer, right? Proper information I should give, na, boss? Yeah, tell me. This response entity object is passed to whom, guys? dispatcher servlet, right? Dispatcher servlet uses some APIs. Whatever output is there, that will be converted into JSON or XML, whatever you ask. And that converted output goes to consumer application, and consumer application receives it and converts into objects as required. Converts into what? Objects as required. Interesting flow or not there? What is the difference? No view resolver, here view resolver. That's it. How does it know it should not use view resolver? Because of response body that is indirectly applied on what? Every business method. Because of response body that is indirectly applied on what? Every endpoint method. What is the difference between Spring MVC and Spring Boot MVC flow and Spring REST and Spring Boot REST flow, guys? Spring REST and Spring Boot REST flow, right? Okay. Spring MVC, Spring Boot MVC flow contains what? View resolver, view component of to formatted the generated results using what? Presentation logic, because the client is always browser and it wants to display formatted results to end user. Spring REST, Spring Boot REST flow does not contain view resolver view component because at the rate response body applied on what? Handler or operation method. The response having results will go to what? Consumer application directly through DS. Moreover, the client is not browser. Here client is what? Another serious application which is not expecting HTML style formatted result. Rather, it is expecting what? Global format result JSON XML to use as inputs in its business operation, right? So that's why what is need of giving formatted results by involving view resolver, guys? Are you getting my point there, guys? Come on. Okay. The at the rate response body. What is there? The at the rate response body that is applied on the at the rate response body that is applied on what? That is applied on that is applied on what is there? Endpoint method indirectly. That is applied on endpoint method indirectly. Indirectly will make endpoint method of at the rate rest controller to send, okay, to send generated or gathered output directly to what application? Consumer application. Directly to whom, guys? Consumer application. Directly to consumer application. Everyone getting my point there or not there? Directly to consumer application without involving view resolver and view component. Without involving view resolver and view component. Convinced with me, my dear? Come on, everyone. Super. This is what we need to focus on, whole process or not there, guys. That's great.